The Ottawa Senators are booed off home ice after a 4-1 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Welcome to the postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and our good friend Jack Richardson back in the mix. The postcast always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub, the GCP, where the vibes are free. Find them at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. And Pillsy, sounds like I'm losing my voice. I swear it's not from yelling at the TV. Got a bit of a bug, but I'll get by. Felt like the entire Sens team had a bug tonight. This was one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and it's too bad, Ross. Usually when you lose your voice and you're on the postcast, it's because you were screaming the goalie's name, yelling and hollering because you're so excited about a Sens win. But I'm pretty sure I can confirm that that's not the case on this one. As the Ottawa Senators, this was a game that they were just given every advantage possible. You talk about the travel issues that the Columbus Blue Jackets had. They're on the second half of a back-to-back. Jet Greaves is playing in both of those games. No Zach Werenski, no Monahan. You get Pinto and Clevin back. You're at home. Like, if you could write out every advantage you would want coming into a game, the Ottawa Senators pretty much had it here up against the worst team in the conference. And they lose 4-1. Like, it's just so disheartening. And what a brutal way to finish off the year 2025.
Yeah, that's a cherry on top I hadn't even put together there. The Ottawa Senators won't play again until a matinee on January 1st. Jack, what a game to come back in the mix for, eh?
Yeah, boys, happy to be back with the postcast. Little hiatus there for me. I felt like Shane Pinto back in the mix tonight after about a month off, but the effort just wasn't there. It felt like, and we don't say that a lot. I think we all kind of pointed it out in different ways throughout the game tonight that it's rare to call out the effort of this team. You know, they're a workman, lunch pail type mentality most nights, and they just didn't have it. And maybe you're right, Ross. Maybe there is a bug, but obviously that's not an excuse. Teams go through things all the time. And that kind of effort on home ice is pretty brutal when all those factors like Pillsy just listed are kind of on a platter for you. And in a situation here, boys, where they need points. So every loss is magnified. And when they don't get them and they happen like that at home to end 2025, which has been a pretty good year for the Sens, is really disheartening to say the least.
Yeah, disheartening is an easier way to put it than the words I was using spinning around my head. I'll save those if things get bad or worse throughout the next little while here, because the free fall with this 0-2-1 stretch right now has put the Senators to within striking distance of last place in the Eastern Conference, a spot that was inhabited by the Columbus Blue Jackets and still is, tied with the Toronto Maple Leafs. The last two teams that beat the Ottawa Senators are the two teams tied for dead last in the East. Not to mention that they only have 8 wins in 18 home games this season. Truly pathetic. This was the 8th best team in the National Hockey League on home ice last season. And they came out just the way the Leafs came out in the game Saturday night. They got an early power play, and instead of doing what Toronto did, getting out to an early lead, they got no momentum from it. Pillsy, what the heck is going on? Because over the season, this power play is still clicking at a great percent, but when they're bad, they're awful. Awful.
Yeah, the power play was certainly disappointing. I guess with the first one, Ross, one of the notes I made was they had an extended 6-on-5. Like, that delayed penalty lasted a long time. And basically that first power play unit was out there the whole time they had the delayed penalty and the 6-on-5, and they weren't really getting anything done. And then by the time the penalty was finally called, Columbus touched the puck, those guys were already gassed, like Timmy. I forget who else was out there, probably Brady, Sandy. Like, those guys were out there for a long shift. So the second power play unit started and played most of that one. And normally I don't mind that because the second PP unit has actually been decent, but they just weren't able to get anything going. And then by that point, like, the power play was over. So it was really tough that the one thing that you can kind of lean on and you hope can spark your team at home up against another team that has a poor penalty kill. Columbus 29th in the league in penalty kill, obviously Sens worse at 32nd, but you're really hoping that that was going to give you a big boost and get that crowd engaged, and a missed opportunity.
Coach Travis Green tonight says, quote, "Not very good. There wasn't a lot of good in our game tonight. I don't say that very often, but that was probably one of our worst games of the year. I think he's kind of regurgitating what we've been saying for the first 5 minutes of this show. This was an effort that you can question whether Ottawa felt like they just needed to show up at the rink to win this game. And you're never going to win in the National Hockey League when you come in with that mentality. Ottawa it almost looked like they were shell-shocked that Columbus could score and did score first in this game. And what an awful play by David Perron. I feel like this has been a theme with him. A lot of failed clears where he can just chip it out or skate it out and it doesn't get out. And then he's late coming back and it's in the back of the net. That one completely not on Levi Merrilainen. The others, you could probably say you'd like to get a save. I know he's in a tough spot right now. The team put him in a tough spot. I'm looking at the GM right now. I'm saying you had all summer to address Anton Forsberg leaving and bringing in another goalie. You put your chips in this basket, and now look what happened. Linus Allmark's out, and now Levi Merrilainen is putting up another, like, it's the second goal, the Damon Severson goal. Like, that can't go in. That's a shot from the top of the circles with absolutely no traffic in front of him. Am I out to lunch on this one, Jack?
Not out to lunch. Like, you want them to have it, but
there's a little drop there. Like, they didn't have much speed coming over the blue line.
It was. I like that you mentioned that though, Ross, because how is that a 4-on-2? It's a bad turnover from the captain and then another bad turnover from Spence, and the forwards go and change. And it's just stuff that we don't really see out of this team under Travis Green. So yeah, like, you want Merrilainen to have probably most of the goals. Like the shot itself, you could argue he should have had all of them, you could say, right? But when you look at how the plays unfolded, I'm not going to be blaming goaltending in this game, especially when it was 3-1. The amount of chances Columbus had, and even early in the game, I think in the first period, Merrilainen was great. There were many other chances. I don't know what his expected goals ended up being tonight. Probably not great.
Minus 2.6.
That's a little surprising to me, but I just think that maybe that's me with the goggles of, if that's Ullmark and that, maybe everyone's having a different reaction. But I just think that, you needed him to maybe step up, and a save on that Severson one would have been good. But all the uncharacteristic stuff we saw from the Sens tonight was just, it was inexplicable. And I start right there with the captain on that back check. He ends at a +1 tonight, but he's, I think, on for 2 goals at least. That start, right? Like, the game that he had, the game that some of the top players had, was not conducive to that kind of stat line to end the game. And I think bad changes lead to that, turnovers, and just things that you don't do to help out a goalie who's, put in a tough spot, like you mentioned, Ross. And it's a bigger conversation about what the management should do with the standing so tight without a pick. You're kind of in limbo here halfway through the year, turning the calendar. I don't really know what to do from here, Pilsy. I know it's not a panic button situation, but like, they've just recently turned a 4-game winning streak into a pretty quick 3-game losing streak against 2 teams they should have beaten.
Yeah, the high that we had going into the Christmas break, now where we're feeling, is very different. But I don't know. Maybe I'm a goalie hugger, as Noodles likes to say, but I don't put this one on Merrilainen at all. Like, that first one is a weird little poke that gets past him. That's tough. The Severson one, like, that's a blast that goes off the post and in. Sure, you can see that and you want to stop it, but that's still a good shot in my opinion. And then the third goal, that's the one where he gets bumped. He's trying to catch it with his glove and he gets bumped, and like right away, Levy's going to the ref like, no goal, he hit my glove. But the explanation was, as a goalie, if you're reaching out past your crease to try to catch it, you've now left that safe zone that you have, and that's the player's right to pass through there. And if he bumps you, that's on him. So that one's a tough one. And then the fourth one, like, that's a Marchenko shot that goes top shelf because it's an easy transition play by the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I'm really not blaming Levi Merrilainen on this one. Anytime you only score 1 goal up against a road team, second half of back-to-back, that's worse than the Eastern Conference. That's without their star defenseman and second-line center. I don't know if I can put that on the goalie.
No, I agree. It's not on the goalie. And frankly, this whole conversation started because I think it's on Steve Staios for not having enough depth in goal. And we'll see if Hunter Shepard gets in there. But I just think it's a lot of weight on Levi Merrilainen's shoulders right now. And I would agree with both your points. Like, he looked agile. He looked great in the first period. I thought he was kicking him out. He was sliding. He was making good recoveries, and the rebound control was good. But it's just at the end of the day, you look at the numbers, and in the second period, when Ottawa went into that period down a goal, just one, and then it became two, a minute 21 in, like they scored one goal on 3 shots in the second period. And it's like, you need, when you get these periods where you're putting up like a lot more shots, a lot more offensive zone time, you can't leave those periods tied. And that's what happened. It was a 1-1 second period. And you could also turn this to what our next conversation is going to be. And that's the offense not being able to finish, not being able to make strings of passes to get good opportunities. There's plenty of blame to go around. But there's one question I have for you, Pills, and we'll do this before the break, because you brought up that goal where Levy's glove was bumped. Were you kind of raising your eyebrow like I was with Travis Green, like almost hurrying up? He's like, let's go. Like, you don't want to take a closer look at it? Like, I just do not understand that. Does he not trust his penalty kill that much that he thinks a 50-50 play isn't worth challenging to go down 2 in the third period?
Yeah, I thought that was weird for sure, Ross, especially when, again, I always say this, you can tell a lot by a play from players' immediate reactions. Like, guys might try to fake things, they might try to let things slide, but their immediate reaction will tell you a lot. And the red light isn't even on yet, and Levi Merrilinen is looking to the ref being like, what the heck, and going, no goal, no goal, no goal. So you would think when you see that, it's like, okay, let's take a good hard look at this, because our goalie is very certain that shouldn't count. Now, goalie interference, nobody has a clue how that works. It's a coin flip and when you try to get it. But I don't know, Ross, I got to guess that the video coaches had a good look at it and they know the rules better than we would. And they've been successful in most calls and challenges. And they're just like, hey, no, Green, that's not going to fly. And maybe Travis Green was pissed and wanted to keep the momentum. Well, it's bad momentum, but wanted to try to bring the tempo back up. And I don't know. It was a weird one, though, for sure. I agree.
And we're obviously doing the postcast live, so we are seeing quotes, but I didn't see this. The chat saying that Green said he trusted his video team on that one.
Yeah.
Sure. And I agree. Mike King's done a great job. When your goalie's making that big of a deal about it, I almost think that there's the mental side where you kind of trust your goalie who's in the situation.
Well, and what about this from Karimbo575? You don't need to challenge it, but you do need to call a freaking timeout. Like,
Pillsy loves the timeout.
That would have been a good time to call a timeout. Like, it's unraveling. Like, instead of being like, no, screw it, drop the puck, get these guys back out there, I would have been like, all right, let's come to the bench. Let's settle things down. It's 3-1 here. There's still a decent amount of hockey left. Let's get back into this one. And he's like, no, just get back to it.
Just an ugly game tonight for the Ottawa Senators, falling 4-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and frankly, it could have been worse. If you were at the game, it probably was. And we have Nick Spence coming up for a Boots on the Ground report. Then we will dig, scavenge. We've got our gold detectors. We will find Sens Central standouts in tonight's game. You're listening to the Postcast, presented by Locked On Senators. The Postcast is always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub, the GCP, where the vibes are free. Go check them out at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. They got something going on just about every night of the week. So go check them out. It's just steps from Lansdowne. They also have the Sens shuttle. Get to the next game. You can boo the Senators off the ice, or you can cheer when Song 2 comes on after a big goal, big game. The boys need the fans for this next stretch. They got to dig out of this hole, and you can be there and not even have to worry about driving to Canada. You don't have to worry about the parking lot after the game. Sue gets you there. She gets you back to the pub. You leave an hour and 15 minutes before the game. It picks you up from the same spot it drops you off about 10, 15 minutes after the final buzzer. So go to 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you.
And if you're getting tickets to the shuttle, make sure you got tickets to the game too. And do that with our friends over at Game Time, because there's nothing like being near the ice during the hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it's unmatched. Sure, watching at home on your couch is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. The only thing that gets in the way is getting tickets, long queues, endless screens, and prices that change at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives you the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The app is easy to use. They got the view from your seat, so before you buy, you know exactly what it's going to look like. Zone deals, you choose the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. And I like that the fees are included up front, so the price you see is the price you get, and you got the Game Time guarantee backing you up. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL. That's Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. You can find our social handles in the link below. The Ottawa Senators tonight falling 4-1, the final score against the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was a game the Senators had every reason to win, but instead of just finding a way to lose, they barely showed up. Unfortunate the way this one broke down. The Senators get 28 shots on goal versus 22 for Columbus. Sens power play, anemic, 0 for 4. Columbus, not much better, 0 for 3. Senators lose the face-off battle tonight, 54 to 45%. And you've got 23 hits for Columbus, 18 for Ottawa. The Senators with 10 blocks versus 16 for the Blue Jackets. And Columbus had a 52.7 to 47.3% edge in the 5-on-5 expected goals battle. Pilsy, did any of those numbers jump out at you?
Yeah, the 4-1 at the top, Ross. That's probably the one that's the worst. And you hope the Ottawa Senators would have that swing the other way. But I guess in all seriousness, probably the 0 for 4 for the power play. Like, the Ottawa Senators had opportunities and they weren't able to capitalize on them. And that's where this team needs to get back into the game, was the power play, and they couldn't get it done.
Unfortunate. And a reality of the situation here is that the Senators are dropping way too quickly in the standings. We're very excited to welcome a good friend of the show. It's sad Sens fan, Nick Spence. Nick, do we got you on OC Transpo right now?
I am currently, yes, I'm on OC Transpo. We're on the 406 right now, so I can kind of hear you guys, but not great. I did not bring my earbuds tonight, so I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to try to be better than the Sens were.
So tell us what your thoughts were, boots on the ground.
That sucked. Like, that worst effort of the season easily. That was
Did you
brutal.
boo, Nick? Did you boo at the end?
That's not me. That's not me, but I heard them, and I was thinking it. That was bad effort. Like, how do you let Columbus come in here and show up after the fans got to the arena, and that's what you do? Like, come on, man. Like, I was sitting on my couch this afternoon watching whatever movie on TV and like my feet up and everything, and these guys are in the airport calling an airplane in from Montreal or whatever and getting here last second, and like, we're not a playoff team, guys. We're not a playoff team. I'm sorry. Like, I know, positive Pilsy, please give me something here, because I've been hearing like Martian, like, we don't got to worry yet. I've been hearing you guys, we don't got to worry. I think we got to worry. I think we have to worry. I think we are not a good team. Like, you get all the analytics you want. You can have all the like, oh, deserve a win-a-meter, whatever. Get a result, guys. Do something to get a result. That was trash effort.
Do you have a single Sens Central standout, Nick? Anybody?
Did you guys take them already? Did you guys already do some?
No, we're giving you first.
Sanderson scored a goal. That's something, right? He played like 22 minutes ice time. That's something. Nobody deserves it tonight. Nobody deserves a standout tonight. Nobody was good. Bad effort from everyone. You guys, guys, any of you Sens players watching the postcast tonight, feel bad. That sucked. You were bad tonight. The fans showed up. That was a good crowd to start the night, and they were a crap crowd by the end. That sucked.
Yeah. You know what, though? I like the passion, and they've got 3 more games on this homestand to figure it out. Nick, you're my Sens Central standout tonight. Thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
It's good to see you guys. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, Pilsy. Thanks, Jack. Hopefully you can, I don't know, entertain the fans tonight, entertain the citizens, do something here.
I got something up my sleeve. All right, there he goes. Nick Spence. You can follow him on Twitter at WhiskeyNick95. You know, it would have been a lot quicker if he took the Glebe Central Pub Shuttle. I know he's a big Glebe Central Pub Shuttle guy, but sometimes the weekday games are tough. I get that. But get on the shuttle and go have a good time at the GCP. We do get to Sens Central standouts in a moment. We'll get to the super chats now as well. Sens fans in van, lackluster effort to a man when they needed to take care of business. If Andlauer is about accountability, he needs to bring in at least one new coach or fire one for the time being. Happy New Year. Pilsy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I get the thought process for sure, and I don't blame anyone for being hard on the coaches here. I'm not on the start firing coaches train. Well, I don't want to say fire anyone, but there could be a change about who looks after the men in the crease. I don't think that would be too crazy if you look at the goaltending the Ottawa Senators have, but never come after another man's job, so I don't want to put myself in that position. But yeah, it's I don't really know what needs to change, but I think if the results keep happening like this, like you mentioned, Toronto and Columbus are two of the worst teams in the East right now. And they're the last two teams that have beat up on Ottawa, and both regulation losses, and you see yourself slipping in the standings. So the results are going to dictate what happens to this team and this organization.
And now the Sens 3 points out of a playoff spot. Thank you to the Buffalo Sabres winning their 9th straight game. And the Florida Panthers it feels like every night the Panthers are down a goal or two in the third period and they find a way to win. The Sens just don't have that mojo. They don't have that ability to just turn it on and snap their fingers and find wins, find points like they were earlier in the season. And it's a continuous problem right now. And I'm looking at their results, and there are the 4 straight wins right there. But all of these losses in regulation, only one of their last, how many losses are in regulation? They only have one overtime loss since the Dallas game, November 11th. Like before that, it felt like every loss, it was like, okay, point here, point there, point there. Not anymore. Now it's just no points, sliding in the standings. Wally writes in, Maryland will heat up. He believes in him 100%. There is reason to believe that Levi Maryland can right the ship. He showed a lot tonight. The team was awful in front of them. There were so many odd man rushes in the third period. And I know at that point, score effects plays a role. I just think Travis Green's teams aren't really meant to play from behind. You get down in a game, 2 goals, Jack, it feels like they don't know how to respond to those situations.
We talked about it a ton last season, Ross. I remember you and I, especially in one postcast, they were down and it was just over. Their record last season was unreal when they scored first, and it was terrible when they let in the first goal. And the playoffs, same thing. They won both games they scored first, and then the opposite happened in the games that they lost. It's just I think it's easy for teams to shut them down especially when they don't have their A stuff, their A game, because we've seen this team's A game. It's elite. They can hang with the best of them. They can dominate possession, hound pucks. Like we've seen it. So that's why efforts like this are so frustrating, because they come out of nowhere. It feels like maybe, again, we talked about it at the beginning. Maybe there is some kind of flu. I don't know, but you almost hate to say that because it kind of gives them a pass if it is the case. It would explain some things. I know it's flu season around, but the fact that that's the only explanation for what we just saw tonight is tough. And yeah, you're right, Ross. Like the lack of urgency given where they are in the standings. This isn't a team that's sitting comfortably in the first wild card position or something like that. Like they were kind of in February last season, right around the 4 Nations break. They could have lost a few games in a row, just dropped back a little bit, but they're chasing it now. And they're chasing it because they've been unable to string more than 4 wins together. You look at the Buffalo Sabres stringing 9 in a row together, and all of a sudden they're in a playoff spot. So it's difficult and it's frustrating because you don't know if they're going to be able to turn it on at any point this season. They got a lot of hockey coming up, boys. And I don't know. I mean, at some point they're just going to have to find 2 weeks where they play well and get results at the same time, because it hasn't happened yet.
And the worst stat of all time remains the deserve to win a meter on Money Puck, saying the Sens win this game 59% of the time. This
Yikes.
team was not even close to winning tonight's game. We'll get to more on it on the other side. You're listening to the Postcast presented by Locked On Senators. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. I swear my voice was golden up until about an hour before. I'm battling here. But you know what? I'm not going to have giveaways in the neutral zone that lead to odd man rushes. I'm not going to take offensive zone penalties like the Senators did 3 times tonight. And I'm going to try to snap it around on the tape of the boys here as we get to the third segment. Pilsy, 0 for 4 on the power play, said it jumped out at you. How do the Senators fix this? It felt like all of the flanks especially were fighting the puck.
Yeah, the flanks especially. Now, they did have a couple opportunities where they set guys up. One in particular was Batherson on the flank, and he just fanned on it. It went off the heel of his stick, and that's one we've seen Batherson. If he gets a hold of that one, he's probably going to score, especially the goalie's got to come on a cross crease slide there. So that was unfortunate, but it just felt like there was no urgency. We weren't getting pucks to the net and creating chaos like the Ottawa Senators do. And honestly, I thought we had a better chance shorthanded when Shane Pinto and Ridley Gregg had a really good opportunity. Pinto set Gregg up in front, and Gregg pulled a backhand forehand move but couldn't beat Greaves' blocker. Like, that was the best special teams chance the Ottawa Senators had all night, in my opinion.
Shabby hit the post too, off a deflection.
Yeah, on a nice deflection, fair.
Yeah, but overall, just simply not good enough. Jack, do you have a Sens Central standout tonight?
Yeah, we talked about it before a little bit. I'm gonna go with Timmy. I thought
team standout. Team standout. We're not doing 3.
Let's just give Timmy some flowers for a 10-game point streak too. Like, it was a nice play to Sanderson, like the goal that they did score. Obviously, he wasn't at his best tonight, like the whole team, but I still think that he was a good player tonight. He didn't have moments where you sit there and say he was costing them. He fought the puck a little bit, but I thought he was okay, and that's all right. He was clearly the best player on the team again. And I just wanted to take an opportunity. Obviously, I've missed the postcast in December. He's been on a heater, boys. Timmy's 10-game point streak. Hopefully he can keep it going rolling into the new year, because if he hadn't been doing this, I don't know where this team would be right now in December with the way Timmy kind of put the team on his back here lately. So I thought he had an okay game. So he deserves the team shout out from me. I don't know if you guys had another one that you wanted to shout out.
I don't know if it's worthy of a full stand-up, but I'll give honorable mention status. I just mentioned one of his great plays was Ridley Gregg. I thought Ridley Gregg had a good game. He finishes the night with 6 for 11 on the faceoff dot for 55%. Like I mentioned, he had that good chance shorthanded. I thought on the fourth line when they were mixing it up, when Travis Green no longer decided to play Curtis McDermott, I think Perron and Nick Cousins were the guys that were on that line. Ridley Gregg got 2 shots, 1 block, 1 hit. I thought he played decent. There was a couple of times I noticed him. He was getting physical there. So I guess I'll give it to Ridley Gregg. I think he had 1 big hit too on Dante Fabro, I think in the corner. And then they had a little wrestling match for a little bit too. So that was one guy as the game was going on. I was like, okay, I'm seeing what I want to see from Ridley here.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. But you left me with crumbs, so I'm going to take a pass on a standout for me. And I'm going to bring up one final topic, and it needs to be the last topic. It's not why the Senators didn't win this game, but Curtis McDermott fighting tonight against Mathieu Olivier. Like, he just doesn't have the balance to get into a real fight anymore. Like, I watched in the middle of the game because I heard Matt Cullen and Jamie McLennan say these two guys have history. So I went and pulled it up, and it was actually during the Global Series. So they were overseas scrapping, and McDermott and neither of them fell. Like, it was a good fight. They were going at it for 30 seconds or so. Dude, McDermott at this stage in his career, I don't know if he had ankle injury or what the case is, but like, he can't stand up long enough to fight. And that's an important part of the whole deal. They look tough as hell though when they were squaring up. I'll give them that.
Elite square up with those guys. Yeah. Olivier's a great fighter because he can play, boys. Like that's another thing. And no disrespect to Curtis McDermott, but the fact that it's a storyline when he hits the post and gets an assist is not a good thing. He's not impacting the team well enough to be in this lineup on a playoff team. And I know the record was great when he was in the lineup, but like,
still pretty good.
Look at it; it's still pretty good. It's like that Pinto Point streak that we were on. But if you look at how Bourgault and Halliday played, especially last game, would have been nice to have one of those guys down there. And I actually thought Nick Cousins had a good game too. Just had nothing to work with, and then you're stuck mixing and matching everyone, and then you're stuck playing 11 forwards who don't have it. So it's just a tough spot. I'd be surprised if he's in for the next few because they need to get something out of that fourth line. And like I mentioned, two guys who are pretty good should have been in there, or at least one of them should have been in there tonight.
My mom's bringing me cough drops.
Yeah, nice. She's watching the show. She knows that you need them.
Yeah, and trying to ride the mute.
If you want that physical edge, I didn't mind what Hayden Hodgson brought to the Sens fourth line. Like, he's out there, he knows his job, he's banging bodies when he has to be. Sure, he's maybe not the fighter that McDermott's supposed to be. We haven't seen McDermott be the fighter we want him to be since he's put an Ottawa jersey on, but there are other options on the fourth line. And hey, I enjoy watching McDermott spin out there for 250, and you just hope that something happens. But it's just when you're losing games like this, it's just not good enough. And if he's not winning the few fights that he's in, you're going to have to mix things up. But I mean, if we're talking about fourth line deployment in a 4-1 loss to the worst team in the Eastern Conference, we've obviously covered everything else, I would hope, at that point.
Yeah, we do, but we still have a bunch to get into on tomorrow's Locked On Senators. For me, it's going goalie searching because it's not against Levy, but and you know what I think is the reason why I brought it up so early in the show? Jack Reeves was great tonight. Like, he was solid.
Yep.
And they brought up that he played 4 years in the AHL. Can I
piggyback on that, Ross? He played last night. Jack Reeves was great tonight. He was awesome. He made some awesome saves. He's athletic. He was a difference for them for sure. But they didn't get goalied. You don't want to give them that pass. They didn't get goalied tonight at all.
No, but I just think that they were calm, patient, and they waited for him to be fully ready. And if Marilainen doesn't end up being a stud, I'm going to look at these 2 years where he should have been playing 30, 40 games in Belleville, and I might have a problem with it. But there's a long way to go before then. Marilainen, I throw him right back in on Thursday. There's no even – the only hesitation for me is Hunter Shepard revenge game against his old team.
Let's go.
Come on. I mean, that's got to be a part of the decision. I say almost somewhat tongue-in-cheek. But look, Travis Green made the decision to get Nick Jensen out of the lineup, and this happens. Makes me nervous about what's going to come because he might overcorrect the other way. But tough times right now for the Ottawa Senators, falling 4-1 against the Columbus Blue Jackets at home. The home record is really what gets me. 8 wins in 18 home games, but they got 3 more on this homestand. And if you want to go to a game, get your tickets on Game Time and then take the Glebe Central Pub shuttle. Let's get some GSGs in the chat. Shout out to over 200 citizens vibing, venting with us after this loss. We'll be back tomorrow for a full episode of Locked On Senators, and then the postcast will return on Thursday afternoon. For Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson, I'm Ross Levitan, and you've been listening to the postcast presented by Locked On Senators. It's your team every day.